أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين إنه خير ناصر ومعين. We are having our session number 10 on 16th of February, right? 16th of February 2025 on the resurrection and human journey. And this is our session number 3 on the issue of love and Maulana. And we continue our discussion. As usual, I start with Hadith of the day. It is from Imam Baqir alayhi salam, Al-Kamal kullu al-Kamal. التفقه في الدين الصبر على النائبة وتقدير المعيشة. Al-Kamal kullu al-Kamal, basically saying the complete perfection, the best perfection lies in tafaqquh. This is very, very interesting issue. I want to explain it how it is interesting. Tafaqquh means what? Deep understanding, any deeper understanding. That's the word faqih come. Faqih means a person who has got a deeper understanding of religion, right? And what does tafaqquh? How do we do tafaqquh? Tafaqquh comes from thinking, using, intellectualizing the issues, right? So they use their mind, they use their intellect, so they go to the depths of the matters. That's called tafaqquh. And see what it says, tafaqquh fi din. After that says sabr ala na'iba. Why tafaqquh comes? Why sabr ala na'iba? Na'iba means undo, sadness or difficulties. Why immediately after tafaqquh there is sadness? It's an interesting topic. There's a book in Farsi. Last time when I was in Qom 2 years ago, I saw a book had come. The name was very catching name. I saw it. I had gone to a bookshop. I saw it was say Aql wa anduh tawil. You know what anduh is? Sadness. Aql wa anduh tawil. Yani intellect and prolonged sorrow. So there is a relationship between intellect, intellectualization, between tafaqquh, and this na'iba is, yani andu is, na'iba means the same thing. Why Imam says kamalul kullul kamal, the best perfection is thinking, and then sabr, patience over that. Because when people think, they understand the life better when you think, and when you understand the life, it comes with it na'iba, it comes with it a certain sorrow. Why? Where is that sorrow coming from? Because this life, when you understand the nature of the material world, is full of ups and downs, is full of pleasure, is full of things which comes on your way, is loss of children, is loss of parents, it is your own even understanding how important is this journey we are making towards the life. That's when the na'iba comes. That's when the sorrow comes. And we want, Imam says, patience ala na'iba. Sabr ala na'iba. Yani you be patient about it. You understand that when we lose our health, we lose our children's health, we lose our family relatives' health. That's part of na'iba, that we have to be patient about it. So that is why tafaqquh, of course, some people may say, so what is the point? Well, I don't need to be tafaqquh, and then I will be always happy. Okay, you will be happy only because it only comes when it hits you, then you become depressed. So it is not that if we do not do tafakkur, we do not come across those sorrows, right? So it is important to understand, especially for the younger ones, because the older ones, they have seen some of these things, but the younger you are, the less you know about the sorrow, why we come across sorrow, and we want to be prepared. We have to understand life is about that. This is the life. We are not creating it. We are only understanding the life. And then, but taqdir al-maisha. Taqdir al-maisha means you just make your life, make your living of your life. You have to make your living. You have to work for it. This is what Muhammad is doing, right? Taqdir al-maisha. So that's, I suggest you, those who know Farsi, especially you guys, try to get hold of this book, Aql wa Anduh Tabil. I had it in Qom. I've searched for it. I don't have it here. I have read almost half of it. Then I left the country. I left Qom to New Zealand. Translation: Al kullu kamal, al kamal kullu al kamal. The best perfection in life is tafaqquh, is deepening in deen, in religion. Understand religion deeply. As-sabru ala na'aba, and to be patient about the sorrows, the problems that you come across. But taqdirul maisha, and work for your living. Okay, that's the meaning. Okay. This is about recap of last week, but I will try to be very quick because Maghrib is coming closer and closer nowadays. So I only tell you once more, recap the last things about that was how to cultivate love and heart, and that was about duality is impossible. Either you die in God or God dies in you. And if you do not die in God, how do we die in God? It's not is your virtual you. It's not your real you. It's about your ego. So either we dissolve our ego in God. If we do not that means we are full of ego. That means God dies in our heart. So we are not mindful of God. So we do things without having God in mind. So this is a practical experience. Is practiced in life. You have to constantly be mindful of this fact that if we don't do that, then we lose God in our heart. As I told you, I think I told you last week about Nietzsche, that philosopher who says God is dead, and what he meant. Anyway, and by the way, there is also I saw one of my notes before a few days ago about Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a psychologist who was during the Hitler. He was a Jew. He and his wife and his parents were sent to those gas chambers. You know that I think I saw that he was sent to Dachau. I've seen Dachau. Dachau is one of those chambers that it was in Munich, in Germany, that they were burning the Jews. So he was sent there, and this is Sabra ala Na'ibah. His psychologist, then he came out and he wrote a book about it, and it's a beautiful book. I've seen the book, I've read the book, and it says how in the most difficult times you can make meaning for life. And the name of his book is Meaning for Life. So that's again a na'ibah, one of the worst type of na'ibah or sorrow had happened to him. Anyway, so that's where he could keep the God in him, and so that he could overcome that difficult days. He lost his children and parents and wife in that chambers, and he still lived. Anyway, so soul's journey to the ecstasy of divine love. I'm going to read some of these for you that you have, especially Fatima sent me something. It triggered me to, at first or second session, I read some of these poetries of Maulana, and I was reminded to do the same again. This one, I had read that before. I had it in my notes, yeah. مرده بودم زنده شدم، گریه بودم خنده شدم، دولت عشق آمد و من دولت پاینده شدم. دیده سیر است مرا، جان دلیر است مرا، زهره شیر است مرا، زهره تابنده شدم. Basically, the meaning of it is I was dead as you see, now I am alive. Once I was tears, now I'm a smile. When he says I was dead, now I'm alive, he's referring to his life before and after Shams. He meets Shams. And before that, I was dead. And after that, I became alive. Once I was tears, now I'm a smile. Again, the same thing. Yani I was depressed. It is written that Maulana was not a very happy person. He was kind of depressed. And then he, now I'm a smile. Now I'm happy. He has, I told you in first or second session that one of his fundamentals and principles was tarab. Tarab means happiness, a type of badged in heart, because he was on a love foundation when he met Shams. And then دولت عشق آمد و من دولت پاینده شدم. Love's grand fortune crowned my soul. یعنی دولت عشق آمد یعنی I became a king, like a king, right? The king of the love came and دولت پاینده شدم. دولت پاینده من شدم یعنی I became an everlasting person. دیده سیر است مرا جان دلیر است مرا. That means I've seen enough. دیده سیر است مرا, I've seen enough. جان دلیر است مرا. That means my soul is courageous enough. زهره شیر است مرا زهره تابنده شدم. زهره شیر است یعنی I'm very courageous. شیر in Farsi we say زهره to courageous people. They have got a big زهره. When they want to say he was scared to death, they say his zahre was exploded. So, and made my joy eternal and whole. My eyes are filled and want to know more. My heart stands bold on a fearless shore. A lion's courage burns in me bright. I blaze like a star in the endless light. So, basically, that's about the journey of ecstasy of divine love. Now, what we do is now we go to those 40 rules of love. Rule number 11. You remember that, right? You have gone up to rule number 10. Rule number 10 is the pangs of birth. Basically, the rule itself is, let me read, I didn't write the rule itself. I just made that from that. The rule says, where is it? The midwife knows, that's the rule itself. I have not written the rule itself there. Midwife knows that childbirth is not possible without pain, right? That's very obvious, right? To have a new you, this is still part of the rule number 11. To have a new you emerge from within you, you must be prepared to endure the hardship and pains. That's what I put it together and made it the pangs of birth. Pangs, you know what is pangs? Those sharp pains of the delivery. So, and also then I've written you a hadith from Hazrat Masih alayhi salam, Hazrat Isa. Lam yalij malakut as-sama man lam yulad marratayn. Yani it means does not reach to the malakut of God a person who has not been born twice. Once our body gets born, second times it is our John, our soul should be born. Because what happens when we are born at the birth time, the first birth, it is really the body. Soul is just very new. It has just been given, as we have seen in the hadith of Imam Ali alayhi salam. The human soul is given only at birth, right? So basically, it is this body which was completed and came to this world. Now, our John, our soul, is living in the wombs of this material world. And exactly how this is talking about the second, of course, second rebirth. It's about rebirth, right? Why the rebirth has pain? It says it has pain. The rebirth has pain because the womb that we are living in, this our soul, Daniel, is living in a womb of the material world. And all the feeding, what especially it is painful for the people who are fed with the material desires which creates, because material desires creates all those bad vices like hypocrisy, stinginess, misery, non-forgiveness, all these bad habits, that things we have, a person comes from material desire. So this is, we are living in such a womb. Many people are living in such a womb. For them to get rebirth, it becomes very difficult. Same as when a child is given birth from the mother's womb, it has to go through such a dark stages and pressurized until it comes out. That's very painful. And we know every child which comes out cries. So similarly, when our soul is being transformed or being reborn, we go through the same pain, because if our placenta was giving us all those things that I just said, all those limitations of this material world. But for the people who are already, their placenta is given them in this material world is rohani, is skyish, is heavenly, and they are very generous people. They are very, so they have already, that seems they are already reborn. So their soul is reborn. So changes do not make them cry. It doesn't give them pain. So the more, because they also we keep based on Mullah Sadra's eternal changing of the images. You remember? Recurring. You remember I spoke of. Yeah, remember I told you, gave you the example of a river when we pass this. So the images that we see, we are constantly receiving images. But of course, depending on, it's constantly better images are bestowed from or emanated from God, depending on what image we take. Image means form, right? It's not about what we look like. It's about the form, human form that we take. So Daniel, those human form is, let's say, when it comes to masalan tafaqquh, knowledge, receiving knowledge, learning religious topics, understanding theology, understanding Erfan, understanding prophet, understanding revelation. These are all new forms, right? New forms that we receive in that way. So these are constantly coming. If you're prepared, if you're working towards that, so that doesn't give us any more pain. But the people who are not used to this, people who are living on their habits, it's not only, remember, it's not only about if you have got very bad vices of nafs. Sometimes people are normal people, right? But they are living very habitually, even changing from those habits to a higher level of living, experiencing a life experience. Sometimes that becomes also painful too. It is pain, but not all the pains are like physical pain. Pain of learning. Learning is a pain for a person who is not in it. Is a pain. And he gets bored, he gets tired, and he goes and and a lot of people, that a lot of people, it's not about only our class. I've seen that in Iran. I used to go to Aghay Samadi's classes. And it was held in a mosque. Usually from the beginning, it was full, big, it was a big hall. Gradually, a lot of dropouts. Why? Because he was talking more intellectual and or Irfanic topics. Gradually, a lot of people opt out because learning, as Mullah Sadra puts it, Mullah Sadra says, "Ma aql It's like other muscles we have. It has its own muscles. Of course, it's not physical muscle. If you are not nurture those muscles, it can't think. It gets bored. It gets tired of learning. So that's the pangs of the birth. So if we want to be reborn into a new life, into a new state, you have to endure the pain and understand that pain, why we are having it. We have to understand why we are having it, and we have to endure it until we grow to a higher state. It's like a child, even in the mother's womb, from the time it is zygote, is constantly changing form, right? To those different forms. Quran has named 4 of them or 5 of them. Muzghe, alaghe, and I don't remember the other 2 forms. Do you remember in Quran? Okay. So anyway, so like those, we change forms as per Mullah Sadr's concept. Even in this world, we're constantly changing forms, and depending on what foundation we have prepared, what foundation we have made, we receive that type of form in our soul. So it's important to understand این امانت در دل و حامله است این نصیحت این امانت در دل و دل حامله است این نصیحت ها مثال قابل است. This is Maulana saying this in the heart a sacred trust is laying. That's about in amanat. That amanat of humanness, being human. That's what as a trust calls as a trust. A womb of secrets pregnant with hidden gain. In Nasiha, and then he means that Maulana means that even what he is saying, the words that he said in his poetry, is like a midwife, and because it helps to get reborn, right? It helps our soul to get the rebirth again, right? More and more. So Maulana likens his words, his examples, his poetries to midwife. قابله گوید که زن را درد نیست، درد باید درد کودک را رهیسی. Basically he says that without pain the midwife cannot bring the child out. And the midwife of Maulana himself was who? Was Shams. And people have, it's either words or either people. Any people who help, because Shams helped Maulana to bring him out of that, and he was reborn to a very new life. Maulana, he was a big alim, right? But his transformation in life, it was a total rebirth into somebody totally new. So that's the rule number 11. I read it's very, very, very important. Yes. I like that what Hazrat Masih alayhi salam says, if he does not reach to the skies, to the Malakut, if he's not born twice. Okay, second rule number 12, love is a journey. So let me see if I have, I want to read the poetry again for you and then translate it. I read the same thing, didn't I? Right? I think it's the same thing. Okay. Okay, I'll read it once more. مرده بودم زنده شدم گریه بودم خنده شدم دولت عشق آمد و من دولت پاینده شدم دیده سیر است مرا جان دلیر است مرا زهره شیر است مرا زهره تابنده شدم گفت که دیوانه نی لایق این خانه نی رفتم دیوانه شدم سلسله بندنده شدم گفت که سرمستی رو که از این دست نی رفتم و سرمست شدم پس طرب آکنده شدم. Okay, so the meaning, of course, the first part I had already read you. The meaning of the second part is You are not insane. گفت که دیوانه نی لایق این خانه نی. That means this is, I assume this is Maulana is saying, Shams is telling him, دیوانه نی, you are not insane, because you have to become insane. Insane on what? When you become a lover, so you became insane. Insanity is to do with put your aql aside and go on your love basis. لایق این خانه نی. You don't deserve this house, this life, this earth, if you are not insane. رفتم دیوانه شدم سلسله بندنده شدم. I practiced madness. I went to, that means, well, how did he practice madness? That is when he was doing sama. I told you about sama is one of the, again, principles of Maulana. Do you remember what is sama? Those turning around. I tell you about my, after this, I tell you about my own discovery about sama. I've been thinking about it a lot. And I did a couple of times sama in my home, my room, and I searched everywhere about the meaning of it. I tell you, let me finish. رفتم دیوانه شدم. I went and practiced madness. سلسله بندنده. سلسله بندنده means I became chained to. سلسله means chain in Farsi. سلسله بند. I became chained to. I became a sort of a slave of love, like something in those lines. How I translate? Practice madness, unaware of longing's chain. And then گفت که سرمست نی رو که از این دست نی. رفتم و سرمست شدم و از طرب آکنده شدم. He said, you are not. He said, گفت, that means Shams said, you are not drunk. You are not drunk enough yet. رو که از این دست نی. You are not of this type. Go, you are not drunk. You are not of this type. رفتم و سرمست شدم. I went and I drank the wine. Of course, it's not the wine that we know of. This is about the wine of love. رفتم و سرمست شدم و از طرب آکنده شدم. I became immersed in the love. و از طرب آکنده شدم. Immersed in the joy of the love. In one's ecstasy, my spirit now aflame. I was telling Nasser today, I had a big discussion with, I show you Nasser, right? Only one part. Discussion with ChatGPT's translation. I couldn't agree with it. It gives a lot of crap translations until I reached to this. Anyway. Anyone who travels these paths transforms, willing or not. Yeah, sorry. That's what you reminded me. So anyway, love is a journey. Also, we have to understand anyone who travels in this path transforms, whether he wills or not. It's not in his hand to transformation. This is very frightening, isn't it? Like it. Okay, rule number 13. For rule number 11 and also 12 both, I had a few philosophical concepts, but I decided not to mention them because sometimes I feel it becomes boring when I go a little bit of those concepts. So maybe when this topic is totally finished, if we go independently on Maulana's topic, if you go and then there I like, because as I said, it's very difficult. It's only about concepts. When it comes to English, it's very difficult to explain it unless you understand the concept. Or you guys tell me, no, please tell the concept so that I can. What is your feeling?
So far, I'm okay with what you have.
No, I didn't ask that. I said skipping the concept. I did skip the concepts.
I think if we have
I'm okay if you remain the same, remain as it is.
understanding, like a foundational understanding, and then after that you go and get the
Okay, you mean, so
like
I continue the way I am.
yeah, the way you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So basically rule number 13 is about Maulana is saying, choose a right guide. Choose a right guide. So it says there in his book, I don't, my memory is not good for memorizing the poetry, but I remember the content of that poetry of Maulana was, there are a lot of people who claim they can be your guide, but be aware there are a lot of thieves on the way. They call it thieves, rahzan. And they come and they claim, but they can't be, they take you away. In Iran, we have many examples of it, especially in the last 20, 30 years. And there are a lot of irfans came out, especially, you might have heard the name of Irfan Halqi. Have you heard? Halqi means circle, the irfan of circle. You don't believe how many followers it had. How many followers? In thousands, in hundreds of thousands. Because I became curious at the time to see what does this man say. Muhammad Ali something, I have forgotten. He was jailed for some time, and then he was, when he was free. He was jailed probably for 7, 8 years. Then when he came out, he escaped the country, he went to Canada or somewhere. And just recently I saw a short clip in social media. He was telling, some people are claiming that their circle is disconnected. Circle. This is Erfan, right? Their circle is disconnected. Please talk to the admin, he will reconnect you. I did not understand. How can an admin can reconnect your Erfani path? I don't know. But I was, at the time, I became interested to see what does he say. When I can't say I heard, it was a lot of material. I just read some of it, and I realized the reason that they can attract is because it's not that whatever they say is crap. They use many of the concepts was this concept of Maulana, of Ibn Arabi, of Mullah Sadr. So it all makes sense when you hear. But from a stage, they branch out. They add to it. They make something out of it. So it becomes totally. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
Was he Jew?
Because of what he was teaching people.
Was it false?
It's not only because it was false, it was it also led to some corruptions and things. So anyway, so the rule number 13 is watch the guide that you choose. And of course, when he says guide, I'm not referred to as a guide here. I'm only teaching you, right? That guide is an Irfani guide, a spiritual guide who choose you. Masalan, like Marhum Aghay Najabat for me. He was guiding me. He was not teaching like this, what I'm telling you. So you have to be careful in choosing the guide. But it is equally important. It is equally important to know, it is my own experience. I have heard it from Orafa, and I've experienced it personally. That is, and I remember whoever have asked me always guide. I need a guide, even from my own family. People have asked me, can you please help me? I like to find a guide a spiritual guide. And I always say, this is what I learned. Guide will always find you. Don't look for a guide. You, as Maulana says, آب کم جو تشنگی آور به دست تا بجوید آبت از بالا و پس. Don't seek water, seek thirst. Once you're thirsty, from within fountains of water emerge, drown you. You get so much water from within you. So you nurture thirst is most important. Most important is to nurturing thirst, and then the guide find you. Will. That's the promise of the universe. That's the promise of the God. That Od'uni astajib lakum. This is Od'uni, and you have talabs that have seek that desire in your heart, Daniel, Zulaikha, have that desire in your heart, God will send someone to guide you. Okay, Nasir? Yeah. All right. So I think I will stop at 13. I wanted to explain this by two concepts, but nevertheless, that's enough for today. And I'll stop here, and inshallah, next week will be probably our last week before Ramadan, because Ramadan is very difficult to find a suitable time for it. But I hope you take Ramadan as a practicing. It's the best time to practice some of these things that we learned, and not things that you learned from the past, from whoever, from wherever. And if you wanted to re-listen to these topics, they are available on Zoom. And yeah, let's use Ramadan, inshallah. Me and Daniel will have our own nutrition, right? We do together.
Nutrition.
Yeah, religious nutrition, spiritual nutrition together, right? Okay. Salla ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salla ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Sugar.
Yes.
What does that have to do with deliverance of the soul? What you said.
The picture?
No, deliverance of the soul is, yani the guide is like that midwife will deliver your soul. He helps you to deliver your soul into the new world. Yes?
Remember the beginning, you said contemplation, sadness, and then patience. Do you think instead of patience, it could be acceptance? Because patience is sort of like, I have to be patient, I have to be patient. Whereas acceptance is sort of like just accepting the situation or the circumstance, like having a deep understanding of it.
Very good question. Let me say the question. Zulaikha has a question that when at the beginning I talked about that hadith, which was sabr, yani patience at what they call difficulties, she says this is not better to say acceptance. But the point, you're absolutely right. But the point here is between tafaqqur and sabr and taqlid, there is a lot of other stages. So basically what you say is, yes, before sabr is acceptance. Because if you don't accept it, you cannot be patient. So you're right, absolutely. But in the hadith, it's not been that detailed. Yes, you are right. Be sure, it was a very good point that you raised, that before us to be patient about it, we have to accept it. And that is very important. Yeah, thank you. Any question? Okay. Yeah, go.
From all your like slides and the topic that you took, I feel like there is a common factor in all of them, which is like the pain. You mentioned over here is going through the sadness, and then between Shams and Maulana there is a depression, and then the pain of coming out of it. So the common
Denominator. Yeah.
which is pain to get you out of there. I also like, I mean, I wanted to ask you because you've got more knowledge and read more about it. There's almost a connection between transformation and heartbreak, transformation and misery, or a level of depression in a lot of people that really change.
You say there is a relationship between
like
transformation and what?
going through some sort of
Yeah,
pain,
yeah,
like not just the normal daily struggle.
Yeah, of course.
But like a really big heartbreak,
Of
or a
course.
really big
Yes.
Do you feel like, I feel like that's something everyone that I know, like the people that I know, the stories that I've read, it's always been, it's not been like a smooth life for them. It's just always been a really big hit of something that really breaks them, whether that's been heartbreak or something that really put them out, like, it turned them into a bit somewhat higher in terms of their spirituality.
I don't understand the question. This is exactly what I've been trying to say, that transformation goes hands in hands with pain and endurance of the pain. So what is the question now?
It's not just that pain that, like the daily struggle of pain or everything, but like a big
Oh, okay, I understand. Thank you. Fatima is, let me ask the question. I understood. Fatima is saying that pain that we're talking about. She says the common theme of my talk today was about pain, right? And she thinks that normal day-to-day struggle is not that pain. That pain that we are talking here must be a big pain. That's why I called it pangs, sharp pain, right? Pangs. That pangs means sharp pain. You're right. Day-to-day life, because the nature of the world is struggling. In this material world is struggling. So that is not the type of pain I'm talking about. I'm talking about the pain like, now it can be many different ways. It can be what happened to Gaza. It can be what happened in Hitler in those killing of Jews. It can be what happened to my sister, a niece who lost his 25 years old daughter. It should be a pang. It should be something to crush you. And as of course you can imagine, because of my age, I would have taken a lot of those pangs. I might not have transformed, but I've taken the pangs, many of those pangs, right? And yes, you're right. The reason I also deliberately took this hadith because it had a relationship with our talk of the day. That's why. But one more thing is important to mention. That is, I don't know if you understand a joyful pain. There is a joyful pain. When you can enjoy a pain, let's say, for the sake of, as an example, let's say someone gets cancer, has a cancer, and is through a lot of trouble. And she knows to get rid of this pain, which is very big, she can get rid of this pain if she gets, masalan, I don't know, her hand cut, and by saw, not even like electrical, very sharp, but she will enjoy that pain, or he will enjoy that pain. He knows, or she knows, by enduring this pain, she will get all that pain that she had all over her body would go away. So basically, it's like what I told in last week. I said to be in the thorn, those sharp things for the flower. We can be in the thorn, but envisioning the flower. So what I want to say is, if we are mindful and we are aware why these pains are coming, then it can become joyful in its own way. But it takes a lot of a big or a heavy consciousness, a real consciousness, to be really mindful, and you can clearly visualize that flower which is coming out of the thorn. You have to be like that so that you can enjoy the pain. Okay? Shall we finish? Thank you very much for all of you who heard me. Inshallah, next week will be last week before Ramadan. This one time again, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajjal faraj. What is this? No salawat? What is this?
Allah.
We didn't explain your own experiences with this month.
What? Okay.
But that's why you.
No, tell it. It's just not long. No, it's not. It's not something amazing. But I searched a lot. Why do people sama? Yani why did Maulana did sama? Why those darwish, they do sama? Everywhere it is basically was saying, because of likeness to aflaq, to galaxies, that all these orbiting around. It did not convince me. I couldn't accept it. Yani, not that I refused it, but I thought there should be a better reason. But anyway, I searched with GPT and Google and everything. But twice I did sama at home. There I realized, no, reason being is insan is a creature from farsh to arsh. You know farsh? Floor to the sky. So that thing that you are after is in your own self. So you are doing tawaf of yourself. You're turning around your own self, not around anything else. So if you are mindful, I was becoming mindful gradually that I am turning around, I'm doing tawaf around that higher being of me, which is in me. Remember those hadiths of 4 souls, right? You have got divine soul, you have got human soul. We are doing, if you do tawaf of your divine soul in you, and your divine soul is insan kamil, and above that is God itself, then that tawaf makes much more meaning. And it brings over. Gradually, that sama brings something. It can give a good spiritual meaning. Does this make sense? Okay. Thank you very much.